What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC. We're coming at you live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. This one's a big one. I think I might be the most knowledgeable with the open-minded twist, which takes 90% of people out, but on this subject in particular. Hex, Richard Hart, Pulsechain. Yeah, I think even Sam would say, like, I'm up there, like with people, but there is some technical detail that I'm still missing. So we're going to cover some of the technical detail a little bit today. We're going to cover, and we're going to get Sam. I'm basically going to be probing Sam because Sam could care less if Richard Hart was in jail for the rest of his life or a trillionaire. Frankly, and that is the truth. I didn't even ask him if I could say that. I know that to be the truth. So he's the perfect guy to bounce this off because I sacrifice not enough to make me not want to live my life, clearly. Like, I'm just a normal amount, something I felt comfortable with. But now there's SEC violations coming into the play. Now I have guys in my DMs very upset, and they think that I'm the only guy that they can reach out to, Sam. They're like, they don't know who to reach out to. They're like, dude, I don't follow anyone but you because no one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear anything about anyone losing, except they'll point and they'll stare at everything else, Sam, everything else, and say, this price chart goes down, this price chart goes down. I think it's time to start taking a little bit of accountability for ourselves and we got to understand this stuff for ourselves, right? What is forking Ethereum? We started off by forking Binance, then we switched back to Ethereum. But what are the implications of all this, by the way? Stuff that I have no idea about to a degree. And the stuff that we're going to talk about. But Hex and Pulsechain are two separate conversations. Okay? Period. End of story. Like, Hex is just a smart contract on Ethereum. Sam, like, is Hex is just a mutable smart contract on Ethereum? I'm not going to be fooled with all these riddles. I'm going to think about this clear. The gym rat. All right, let's get into it, guys. Crypto in the Morning live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. You already know what time it is.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready sent me to show you the way.
DeFi Pro.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Yo, this is going to be an interesting show because you have two different pieces with the Richard Hart thing, right? You've got Hex, and is that a security? But then you also have and I think this is the part where it's going to end up turning to eventually, in my opinion, is the raising money, right? Using this to raise money in a way that is... There's verbiage in the legal language that says based upon like a common man, right? Like this is just like Joe Schmo. How would Joe Schmo interpret?
Common pool? Is that when they say common pool?
Like how does your mom think about this language? How would 100 people similar to your mom or you think
telling
about
me the interpretation of the language for the masses is more critical than the the exact terms listed on the paper?
And so with the SEC, so I have 6 different things here.
Oh, yes.
So with the SEC, there's 6 different rules, generally speaking, right? This is a framework. They need to register with the SEC, or they need to register something to say it's not a security. This means that companies must provide certain information about their business and securities they're offering to potential investors, right? So one of those things, which is number, I think 3 or number 2, is a prospectus. Now, you didn't really go to school for college very long, but do you remember what's the thing that they provide at the beginning of class, right? It's a itinerary of, what is that called? Yeah, what is that? What do people
Like
let us know?
agenda.
Yeah,
Agenda book.
it's basically a
We
prospectus.
called it an agenda book.
Agenda or I forget what it's called, but there's a specific name that people use at the beginning of a college class. You get this prospectus thing, syllabus. Oh, thank you, Corey. I appreciate you, bro. It's called a syllabus. A syllabus, most people understand what that is. A prospectus is a syllabus for a financial instrument, right? If you understand that a syllabus describes what's going to happen in the class, okay, in the first 4 weeks, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And the next week, we're going to do this, Y, this. We're going to have a speaker come in. I'm going to be doing test here. I'm going to be doing a quiz here, right? I'm your teacher. We're going to have somebody coming in and teaching us. That's what a prospectus is, right? That's number 2. So you have the SEC registration. You have the prospectus. You have companies need to follow specific rules for advertising, right? So they might not be able to get Richard on the security piece. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but we've heard him talk about it and what he believes. But by going through and looking at the prospectus, right, they might be able to try to catch him there, right? Because even if you're doing something legal, they will turn around and look at something for the tax purposes. Like, oh, because you did this thing, you fucked up in here, which is the tax portion of it. Or because you are, listing unregistered at securities effectively is probably what they're going to be pushing. And not disclosing certain things to investors, right? That's one thing there to also take a look at. Number 4, companies must follow rules related to how they communicate with investors. Do you think that could be a violation? For sure. YouTube videos, right? That could definitely be a violation of the rules there. Is it going to be enough to stop it? I don't know. Is it going to be enough to maybe create even more?
Okay, so we're talking about Hex, though, right? And
I was kind of pointing towards like Pulsechain and Pulse, because Hex, I think, could pass that litmus test, right? I think Hex.
I think it could too.
Andy didn't raise
Depends, like, if somebody goes under investigation, does their other stuff matter too?
Yes, then they're going to start to look at everything else.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, if Richard's not being square, he's not being square. I'm not saying you can only win being square, but I'm saying when the SEC and the Fed start coming after you, you're fucked. You're fucked. They will put you in whatever position they want, and they will write a cute little story about it, and they will publish it everywhere, and they will make sure the evidence fits.
That last part,
they don't care where the evidence comes from. You know how many cops get arrested a year for planting evidence from decent sheriffs that are like trying to actually do a decent job, and they're like, wow, this is not a decent gig. this is guys.
They will make the evidence fit their story. That's what they're going to do.
In SBF, in SBF's case, they'll do the opposite, right? They'll probe him until they tell him which of the Matrix boys are giving him all his info, right? Well, they want the next in line. They want the biggest crack dealer in Brooklyn. They don't want the smallest. They want that big shit, and it's about money. And it's about power. And Sam, I'm pretty sure I might, the plea agreement is going to probably be live today. I know all about these court cases. So guys, keep up with me. I'm going to be live on that because I don't care about copyright or nothing. I want to see this dude get thrown away. Why? Not because I wish ill will on him. I actually pray that he has an amazing rest of his life. But I want to see changes being made, and rich white boys going to jail tends to do that. It's true. It's like it generates some sort of like when a rich, nerdy Jewish boy gets thrown in prison, it changes the dynamic because everyone's like, hey, we're rich and nerdy and Jewish too. Our boy's in jail. We've been doing this for 100 years or whatever, Sam. Every group, every gang, every mobster, everyone with. So I want. Go ahead.
So there's 6 points right around this, right? So we've got like that needs to be registered. So that wasn't done, but you can make the argument that's not a security, doesn't need to be registered. 2 is the prospectus. So that's your syllabus, right? Then there could be arguments there to say that, and then I'm talking in regards to Pulse and PulseX, right? The syllabus thing could be effed up. Number 3 is advertising, right? There's a lot of advertising on YouTube and Twitter that took place that may or may not fall within the rules that they choose to interpret.
Sam, what about this before you switch?
Doesn't live in the States, so it all doesn't matter. Is he a U.S. citizen?
I don't think so.
Doesn't matter. So if
he has multiple citizenships or some shit, I'm pretty sure. He
Yeah,
came
correct.
to the United States just the other month to see his grandmother. He actually did have a run-in with police officers at some point, he mentioned. And you know how that goes.
Master P, do you believe that the United States does not ever interfere with people in other countries that are doing things in this country? If that
Didn't they just drag SBF out of the Bahamas?
Correct. And didn't they also put pressure on what the information that's still coming out on the Romanian government to do something with the Undertrade? Like the U.S. government loves getting.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's better with the Tate one because let's be honest. I think the dude was rich enough and popular enough where he wasn't doing. Whether he did illicit things in the past, who knows? Who cares? But as of right now, like he seemed to be clean by everyone else's. He was on every show in the world and doing everything all at the same time. The United States government does not want him. But you know, the Romanian, they are all liberals now. They're all libby dibbies. They're all best buddies, man, and they all want you to. Just do whatever everyone else is doing, please, and stop paying attention. Like everyone's starting to pay attention too much again. You know, Sam, like when times get tough, men pay attention. You have to. You have no choice. Some men can do it all the time. You train yourself to be in a scarcity mindset constantly to get work done, right? Like you want to be efficient. Sam, I'm going to blow your brain real quick. That sounded gay.
So let me just touch on these last two.
Please. But guys, just to I have to do this really quick. This dude blocks me on lots of social medias. I've talked major crap to him for being a pleb, but I want to make it right. It's 2023. I'm writing every wrong that I got in the book. Everyone. I'm going through each one. I want you to subscribe to this dude, follow him, and make sure you like this video. And he does actually, I used to say you're a pleb for hawking all these Twitter spaces, but man, it's hard to keep up with these Twitter spaces. So now I appreciate him more than ever but he was calling me a pleb, I think. He started it, but I ended it. But anyway, I want that to be over. And I want you guys to follow him so I can watch his videos again.
Tell people who he is.
I don't know. He's Obscure Crypto Gems. That's it. That's all he's got. He's an anonymous. But we just don't know which one it is. But he hates the gym rat. Okay. Oh, he hates the gym rat. Oh, he goes in the Twitter spaces. But we love the crypto gems. We pray for those who hate us. So just listen up, Sam, and please tell me to stop immediately when you want it to stop, because there's going to be about 3 minutes in. You're going to say stop.
You're really effectively splitting the economic value. However, the code is all that really matters. If the code continues.
Wait, Sam, I just wanted to shout him out, and I wanted you to go back to your segment.
Okay, so
I wanted to shout him out so I didn't forget. I knew I would forget.
So just there's the 6 points, right? The SEC has rules. Generally speaking, they're going to fall into these 6 categories. You've got to register your shit with the SEC. You need to have a prospectus. That's like your syllabus. Number 3, there's specific rules you need to follow for advertising to raise money, things you can't say and may or may not have been said, which on Richard Hart's front, I think it would err more on the caution side, at least by what he portrays. Number 4, there's specific rules for communication with investors. That one,
we got to touch on that at some point.
But that one's probably not really, because he doesn't communicate with investors unless there's some text messages we have.
What do you mean he doesn't? He's best buddies with half the guys.
But that shit needs to come out, right, in some fashion. Because if it's in my text message and nobody ever sees it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but like Hexo stopped his channel for this a long time ago. Him and Hexo are best bros. Like, and Hexo stopped this and then they did donations for them. So this already occurred. Like they already tagged these guys.
But
for Hex though.
Yes, correct. From a Pulse and PulseX, number 5 here.
For Hex though. Oh, go on, my bad.
There's certain rules that need to be followed for the price and the sale of the securities, right? So this is going to be predicated on the security thing. But they're like, okay, well, it's close enough to a security. I don't know how they're going to interpret this, but the price, right? And the idea that like you're sacrificing and you get something for free. Anybody with common sense understands that they do the calculation here, and they're like, okay, cool. I'm putting in $10,000. I'm getting X number of shares and or tokens or whatever it is. Like anybody with common sense, and sometimes these things are interpreted through the layman's, like how does the common person, how, if you take 1,000 common people, are they going to see this in this fashion, or are they going to see it in this fashion?
We're getting there, Sam. We're getting there with, I watched the Congress, man. They're getting their distribution rate, the whole thing. They're figuring it out. It's getting
and
more.
it's happening quick.
Very quick, extremely quick. They were going from, is Bitcoin a piece of metal to distribution rates and mining methods ASAP. Because something happened. SBF gets arrested. They start doing work again for like a week.
And number 6 here, and then we can get into that video, is there's certain rules for how the proceeds of a sale work or how you can use those, right? So like they tell you how you can use the money once you raise the money. There's only certain things you can use it for and how it has to be used. So when you look at these, right, like if you're like, okay, Pulse and PulseX, independent of if it is a security or not a security, there is all these other tripwires that they can say, you fucked up here, you fucked up here, you fucked up here, to come after in some fashion, right? And lawyers don't, as much as they try to say they're going to be there for the client or whatever this shit that comes out of their mouths is, they're in that for themselves. And if there's $1.9 billion at stake, and they get to,
that's a lot of money for, that's true. That's like a pool of fees for them.
Correct.
I didn't think about it like that. It's like a pot of pool fees, because I'm sure even if you got 10% of that, they would be good for the year on that.
Right. Or drag it on for 6 years, because then you get to charge fees multiple times, right?
And it puts pressure on the person to see how rich they really are.
Yep.
How rich are you really, concrete, liquid? How ready are you for a battle of lawyers? That's always a different story than who's got the most paper gains. It's like people are like, oh, I'm probably the most wrecked if something happens to me, but I keep my overhead so low that I'm never perma-wrecked. It's like you have to protect yourself from all angles if you're a human being. Like you can't just walk down the street and see dudes with knives and guns and just walk right through it. You just walk the other way. You do something else. So I think it's important that we continue to work through these concepts, because as this all unfolds, guys, good or bad, a prison or trillionaire, I'm going to be covering it. And I'm not a D rider, frankly. Like Richard's done nothing but be quiet since this SAC stuff has come out, period. People could say whatever he wants. Yeah, he throws a little joke, a little jab every once in a while. He's been quiet, like a quiet little mouse, because that's what happens when they start barking up your tree. Let's be 100% clear. Sam, we're going to play this for a couple minutes, take a little break, but don't put your brain on break, guys. I'm telling you. First 10 minutes of this is packed in with really good nuanced information about the differences in forking Ethereum, in Hex as an ERC20, Pulsechain, some of these securities things. I don't know who exactly this Nakamoto list guy is in Harrison, but I like them all. I like them all. Everyone in this I like. So thank you guys, and thank you Crypto Gems, and let's Joker went on a big live stream yesterday and he said he made me. And everyone else told me to go over there, and I commented in there and I said, the only thing that Joker made me was feel retarded 24/7. I never watched the video. I just commented on it. So if you guys go over there and check that out, see my comment under there. I never watched it though, so let me know if it was good.
To operate, the rest will sort itself out. The people who are developing specifically for Pulsechain, let's say the guys who are building Famous.io, not related to Famous, they are making their own shorting system and allowing people to utilize. I think they
GMX copy, GMX fork.
GMX fork. And so they're basically taking things that exist. And if these people do not want to go over, they don't have to go over. And the useless ERC20, PRC20 token will be over there.
But Nakamoto, I want to piggyback on that and add a couple things. I think we also need to look first principles. We need to look at the DNA of the founder, Richard Hart. How did he make his money? Richard Hart is not an innovator. Zero. That's not how he made his money. Richard Hart would take a particular business and optimize it or do something different, make it faster, make it cheaper. And that's how he made his money. And that's what he's doing here. I think the system state copy is on a foundational level. I'm a marketer myself. That's what I do in sort of the fiat world. It's a perfect marketing play. You are trying to attract as many eyeballs. Now, what Harrison was saying is very true. Let's say that 85% of the people that get their free pulse copy don't come over. 90% don't come over. That 10% is a massive start, brother. That 10% is insane.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it, actually. I think the whole system state copy thing makes a lot more sense as a marketing idea than as like an actual serious thing.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing. Another way you can look at it is it's like the mother of all airdrops. And airdrops are already used in crypto, right? You got like an airdrop for bridging to AVAX. You got the good bridging token. You got an airdrop for using Uniswap, right? Just for using it. So I guess the idea here is like you will get an airdrop of everything you own on ETH just for like turning up on Pulsechain, and that probably will draw some people at least. And even if it's a small fraction, it's a lot of people.
So what he was saying right there, right, is Richard Hart is not an innovator, right? Effectively what he said. Richard Hart,
I would agree with that.
You would agree with that? Is that what he said? Okay. He did also.
There's one innovation: the staking. Having people stake for 15 years is innovative because no one else done it. But as a concept, it's not innovative, I don't think.
Right. And so he said he's good at marketing. Now, we got to see a preview of this, which I was the first one to talk about this back when POW was out. Right, it was coming out. You were out for 2 days or something. And I was telling you guys, Ethereum POW is coming out. You're going to get a free copy of everything, right? We ended up getting free copies on POW as well as on Ethereum Fair.
Those were explosive episodes, if I remember, too.
Yes. And what? How did that turn out? Did it come to parity?
Pretty. I mean, it was cool as a free thing.
We had fun. We had fun, but
I made a fudge ton of money on that, man. I wish that would happen again. No, I'm just kidding. But in reality, it's basically ceased to a point where it should be, in my opinion, just about nothing. It should be just about nothing right now. And if it even has legs, if that kind of mining has legs moving forward without the upgrades, because it changes the dynamic because the fees are cheaper. All the stuff.
So now we kind of get like a premonition, right? Where a premonition, you get to see the future. So we kind of get a premonition of the future of Pulse with Ethereum W and Ethereum Fair, right? And those did not perform very well. I'm not saying like Pulse isn't going to do very well or Pulse X is not going to do very well. Like I would love them to do very well. But
Sam, what about the 1.7 billion of piston loan volume that everyone wants back in their wallet, in their bank account?
So think about this. What happens if this play? I'm just being devil's advocate here.
No, I know, me too. On the other side.
So think about this. Say it launches in third quarter of this year, right? And between now and then, you have a lot more people that get to stew and complain and bitch. And also during this time, we get more idiot policies coming out of our government and governments around the world. The stock market sees another 25 to 40% drop in the stock price. We dive in deeper to a recession, right? As we continue to print more money. What do you think is going to happen to those people? Are they going to trust that, or are they going to be like, okay, cool, I got this. Let me sell this as quickly as possible, like we saw on POW and Fair, where people buying, you were buying, I was buying, a couple people were buying, but most people were selling on Ethereum.
But it was that instant liquidity that came from the flush of people that attracted slower the richer guys, a little bit richer guys. Like I know guys that were like pulling 8 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, a good, nice little day's work for sure. But at the same time, I know guys that weren't clicking on their mouse for none of that action. They were just like, yeah, there's not, what am I going to do? Waste all day fucking around over there and do something stupid. So it's like, it was a degen play, but at the same time, I learned so much from that. I learned so much from that. I learned so much about V3 liquidity providing. Everything I learned from V3 was from that. Because I couldn't pay for the fees over and over and over. You know the way I like to study, just like 1,000 times in a row, like just keep doing it. Ethereum makes it really difficult to do that unless you're just testing.
But so to tie back into the spaces, right? The guy's like, he's not innovating, he's good at marketing. Cool. He's saying the largest airdrop. What did we see with the previews of this with Ethereum Fair and Ethereum POW? Most of the shit on Ethereum is broken when you get a free airdrop from it.
Oh, 100%.
There's what is it, Chainlink, or there's things built in the contract that need to pull data from other things. When you copy that shit, it is broken. It is broken.
These tokens have no value. It's like the problem is there's just duct tape tokens for every innovation. Like every innovation has a duct tape token attached to it that has a boatload of liquidity because of the airdrop over here. It's just a trading token. Like if the Uniswap token is a trading token for children, but it has $176 million of liquidity. I say it's a trading token for children because it does nothing. And most of the people that have it don't realize it does nothing. They actually believe that their Uniswap token has some sort of function, but they're just clueless. So there's a lot of nuance here that we're gonna keep picking through one by one. We got 155 in here. I want you guys to smash that like button. I want you guys to share this out. Sam, do one of your rah get them going. Share it out.
Hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. 150 people watching live. This is the future of communication and gathering your news and your information. If you don't understand this, if you don't understand that this is how you're going to get ahead, is not by listening to mainstream news. You don't need to necessarily listen to just us. Listen to 3 or 4 different things to gather the information to understand where we're going. Because legacy is lost. Legacy is gone. They are already jumped off the cliff and they're just waiting to go splat, right? It's just a long way for them to go splat, but it's happening in real time. So by you being here, that is a good thing. And we understand that you are seeing where the future is going. This is the radio or television or whatever of 46 years ago, right? They would have been tuning in, but now we do it live, which gives you way more value. So let's get back into that clip.
Yeah, let's get back in. And Sam, it's just getting going. It's just getting, and I only watched about 10 minutes of this. So I'm going to see how juicy it gets afterwards. But at the end of the day, okay, hold on one second. I have to mention this. I was watching that game when that young man, 24-year-old Pittsburgh graduate, died. Or is he alive? Can someone? I know his heart was beating, but he had a pulse, but they were keeping him going with the machine. And they were thinking about playing the game 5 minutes after. Sam, this man literally died. Like he was gone. Like they were hammering him like he just did some drugs. Like, you know how it goes. And like, you know, when someone starts beating on your chest in the middle of a football field, you can assume game over, maybe young man, 24-year-old dying.
I think,
and Sam, I'm just going to say it once and I'm done. And I don't even want you to keep going because you're going to get too controversial.
yes.
Guys, I hear young men are dropping like flies. And why were all those kids crying so quick? If one of my buddies dropped dead on the field, I wouldn't start crying until I knew he was, you know what I mean? Like it was like, I felt weird about it. I don't want to get into the sauce, but my God, there was
we understand why, as PW mentions right down below my finger.
I'll pop it up. You don't have to, what did he say?
That's it. That's why.
Oh, anyone in the oh my, yep, that's it.
Due to the shot. We all know what shot he's referencing. That's all.
And guys, me and Sam are both natties when it comes to the jab. So we'll be monitoring that on the long term, on the quiet. And Sam, I forgot to announce this. We're doing a Patreon.
Ooh.
Yes, we are. And guess what? Because I got Sam. Oh my God, I got to mention this, guys. I watched 3.5 hours of video yesterday. I paid $32 for the thing. It was on a website, worst website ever. Great video though. And then I started getting DMs saying, "You better take that down, boy." And from a lot of the, quick, they were like, when someone's paying for something like that, and then I messaged him and we cleared it up. But I didn't realize, like, man, he's probably making a little cheddar off of that. and there were so many people in the chat. By the end of it, there was like two. So I was like, and everyone's, so I had to erase that, guys. I don't want to mess with I don't like to make enemies 2023, but I will work harder and figure out how to do things properly. So next time I do that, it'll be in a private setting on a Patreon platform where I can talk about it. Sam's when it comes to Sam and platforms where no one can hear what he's saying other than the people in there, it gets vicious because he doesn't, he has to keep it clean. Nobody wants the feds on him. I'm out. Mom, if you're watching this, turn it off.
Well, it's marketing its eyeballs. Now, the thing is,
You got it, brother.
Yeah, I probably suspect that actually, technically, this is not going to go that well because, like, Ethereum is just not designed to be copied like this, right? Because there are some things that really don't copy over, like the centralized stable coins, like any external dependencies that the smart contracts have, like ENS isn't going to work properly, at least not out of the box. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of things that basically don't work. So, Pulsechain is probably going to be doesn't work chain. But I mean, if that draws some attention at the beginning, it could give it a start. And then maybe after a year or two, all of this like stuff that got copied over is just going to be forgotten about, and it's going to be the organic apps that the organic dApps that actually got developed specifically for Hex are going to be the ones that are really going to win. So I guess, Pulsechain could be a viable L1. I mean, the problem I have with the idea of tying Hex to Pulsechain is I'm personally very bearish on L1s right now. I think the season of alt L1s is over. It's done. Everything's going to either die or become an Ethereum L2 because of the superior security that being an Ethereum L2 offers.
But Nakamoto, let's take one.
So did you catch most of that?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't, if you talk about security, for me, the gold standard is going to be Bitcoin, right? Like, I think Bitcoin is far more secure than proof of stake is. When
you say secure, you mean between like the decentralized nature, the SEC, and like the future projection of all these things kind of entwined to one?
Yes. So like,
I'd say it has the least attack surface by a bajillion as of right this moment.
And with the Ethereum team pushing there's something called the trilemma we've talked about before, right? So you have decentralization, you have security, and you have scalability, right? And so you have these three things, and these are all important things. But what happens is when you push one, the other two go away, or you effectively have trade-offs with the other two. So Ethereum, by switching from proof of work to proof of stake, they're pushing the verbiage. What they're putting out there is they want the scalability. Understandable. We need more users in crypto, right? Fiat needs to die faster. Cool. I get that. Now you end up giving up decentralization or giving off trade-offs, because to be more scalable, you're less decentralized. So you became more centralized. And today we talked about this, where you're the stakers who are staking for Ethereum proof of stake are now the owners of the protocol as well as the biggest players in the protocol. So you bring together power that wasn't there before under proof of work. It's less secure, right? So that's the other piece of it. So you decrease, or you move away from decentralization, and you decrease the security of the system to increase the scalability. My hope is that as more and more people come into crypto, as Ethereum continues to scale and becomes the only like L1 there really is, or that's my mind, right? I haven't seen anything else that's going to offset what Ethereum is doing. I think that they will, I hope, go more towards focusing on security and decentralization in the future. I don't know if that's going to cause too many issues as we move forward, but it's definitely not, in my opinion, as secure as Bitcoin. Now, if you look at Ethereum versus, say, Optimism, or Ethereum versus these other L1s or L2s,
and then you got everyone that's in Grayscale thinks they're in Bitcoin, which is just not the case. Like, they're just not in Bitcoin. like they're in someone else's pool of Bitcoin collateralized to a different whatever their exact units are. But I think they're all I hear is their name in bankruptcy every time. I don't even read the thing. It's just like future bankruptcy, this, that, bankruptcy. I've been calling that for a while now. At what point can a number just separate from the native asset that it's one for one tied to by 63%? Like at some point, that's a failure of a like whatever. Like, and then it has to build all the way back up, or Bitcoin needs to drop dramatically, like 6-8K. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or it wouldn't even make sense. Anyway, let's get back into it, Sam. A little more nuance here. Guys, I cannot play all the videos that you want me to play in my DMs on the show. Dude.
Who's on the show?
Sorry. I forgot to message Hex Hangout. God, I'm so stupid. I keep forgetting to do things because I'm doing things. But should we just play the video? What were we saying?
Let's get back into this. This is a conversation around Pulse and PulseX that's happening in the ethos, right? Like Twitter Spaces is a great area to also gather information and learn from other smart people and what they're saying, and that's effectively what this is here.
And that's what my guy right here is. Make sure you subscribe to Crypto Gems, Obscure Crypto Gems. We're best buddies now.
One step at a time. I may, let's say that you're right. Let's just assume that you're right. Again, assumption. I don't think this is an overnight transition. I don't think that you're going to suddenly erase all those L1 ecosystems and have a L2 world. So even if you're right, we are what? 5 years away from that? 10 years away from that? I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
It might not really be that long, though. It might not really be that long. I mean, a lot of these things, there's, Starkware, there's a whole bunch of them, actually, that are really, ready to go, almost, and a whole bunch that are already going, like Messis and Bobber and Arbitrum and Optimism. Like, there is no longer really a problem on Ethereum with there not being enough block space, right? The problem is actually there's not enough block space because nobody wants to use anything. So I'm kind of...
I could provide
go ahead.
a counterpoint. I think, in general, you would be right if Richard Hart didn't hold multiple $1 billion to fund the build out of his ecosystem.
Yeah.
And he does. So I think he's going to have enough incentive. Ethereum Foundation probably is poorer than Richard Hart is right now. It's crazy. That sounds. So he could definitely fucking fund his ecosystem if he wanted to. He's not going to tell you he will, because that would be misrepresenting himself.
And again, that's kind of speculation too. Like in a way, like just like having a way where you are kind of just like emphasizing. And this is one of the biggest problems with all this stuff is everyone just assumes he's just going to buy the product constantly, because he shows all his purses and all this stuff. And I think that is a problem. And I think it lacks real information. Like, it's kind of just like, oh, he's rich, so like, let's go. Like, that's why we got into this trouble to begin with. So, and remember, Richard's silent right now. So
if Richard actually believes that Pulse is better than Ethereum, I think that he will end up moving things from the Ethereum side to the Pulse side to help himself out, right? Because the security, he said multiple times, is a big priority to him. So if he believes that some of the risks that come along with proof of stake are causing it to be more risky, and he thinks he did such a good job with Pulse, I could see him moving some things from the Ethereum side to Pulse so that he could help himself out by increasing the value of that network, by bringing new capital in there.
And we have a long ways to go before that. Guys, the only reason I can post this is because I posted this video from my account, and I'm not going to zoom it in or anything. I'm just going to play it. It's not that bad, but this is what happened if they don't let you see this stuff anymore.
Real big hit right here. Holy shit. My boy goes down for the count. What the hell? Hit him in the chest.
So a little bit hit in the chest here. He gets up normal. Number 3, he gets up normal after the hit right here. Normal, drop, done,
My
gone,
boy goes
bye.
down for the count. What
Bye-bye.
the hell?
If you see the footballers, as in like soccer players in Europe, the number of footballers, soccer players in Europe that are healthy, very cardiovascular fit, that have been dying from cardiovascular related issues. There's only one thing that can happen. There's only one plausible
Those are the healthiest humans on the planet. People that have that much cardiovascular endurance are supposed to be like impossible. Like, dude, you know guys like that. I know guys like that. Unless they get cancer and it riddles their body at like 70, 60, which happens sometimes for sure. But generally, they live unless something happens because they have so much buffer in their system. They're cardiovascularly sharp. Their body is electric and alert 24/7, and they're aware of recovery generally and nutrition. You can't be a distance runner of some sort. It just comes with the package. And I played soccer. I know what it takes. I ran 90 minutes all the time. I remember I was a god compared to what I am today. Cardiovascularly, of course. And I was a healthier man. And to see when I was growing up, young men did not drop dead. Ever. Never. Unless one time a friend of mine got hit with a dodgeball in the head, and then he hit his head. He got knocked out, like it caught him on the chin, and then he hit his head on the ground and he died. And I remember that was like shock waves around the whole. And think about it, like now people are just dying because of whatever.
Because the jab.
Well, I mean, but whatever. Heart complications from what? It could be 100 things, Sam. It could have been downstream effects from the food we've been eating for 20 fucking years. That's disgusting. I've recently changed my diet.
Okay, think about that for a second. So, do you think that by switching our lifestyle to eat crappier foods, right? Because that's what's happened. There's been an increase in diseases, which also corresponds with an increase in seed oils and all the other stuff that's going on. So, right? To say that that's the cause, and it all happens after the last 36 months. It didn't happen before 2020.
You're right. It's the duration's too short. It's too tight.
We would have seen an increase of this tick up every single year as people got poorer and poorer and poorer.
We did. Everyone's fat now. So.
And now we just get a thing. Everybody's like, hey, take this poison, right? And now we see.
Yeah, but it's not like unhealthy people are taking it. It's like everyone. So like I work out and eat like such a minimal calorie diet and like keep my headspace as tight as I can. And I'm not taking it. Are you kidding?
Right.
For what? For what? So everyone can scare me so I can go to Christmas dinner with my grandma who's not even gives a fuck. Like she's just sitting there like, I don't, like if we get sick, we get sick, but again, even people close to me that took some of the most hardcore men and made them children. It took, there's like real hardcore men. And then there's like this little like area where guys have a chance to break through and then they just are like, nope, I have to go to Grammys for the doctor.
There's like very strong men and leaders. And then there's the group that's like a large portion of people behind them. They have one area, right? They might have the finance.
They have this, but they don't have this. They have morals, they have integrity, but they don't see through. They haven't felt enough pain, I guess. Like they haven't seen enough torture. And because the fact of the matter is, like, if you're a grown man, you've seen horrible things or heard of horrible things happen. I think 5 people shot after the Ravens game, 4 murdered. 4 murdered by a dude that just got let out. He's I don't want to say any of the stuff.
You got to get out of that area, bro.
I am, dude. I'm like, that's like literally my primary goal. Like before my mortgage, before everything, it's like figure the fuck out how you're going to get out of here. All that stuff is replaceable, right?
Over the next 18 months, correct, exactly.
It's like, I don't care about the bills, like whatever. Just get it going. Hey, hashtag get GRC out of Be More.
Security, right? That's the profit from the effort of others. So in some ways, that's kind of like uber bullish. Just in the background, he has a lot of incentive to put billions into growing this ecosystem out.
And I want to piggyback on Nakamoto. I want to piggyback on what Harrison says. Again, not from a tech perspective, from just a business marketing perspective. There's also great incentive in very, very wealthy hexagons. And it's well known in the community that there's about 7 to 10 billionaires. Right.
What a dumbass thing to say. And that's not true. First of all, it can't be true. There's never been enough liquidity to even promote 1 billionaire in Hex. So whoever Mr. Talkie to right there might be billionaires that own Hex, but don't you get it twisted. There is not 9. He said it was very well known that 9 billionaires. No, incorrect. That was about his word salad. Hold on, I'll pull it up even.
I mean, go back 5 to 10 seconds.
Hold on. Alert. It's a spring salad with vinaigrette.
And tofu, which is garbage.
Yeah, I've never done the tofu thing, but one of my roommates messes with it. Some people like the taste, but it's like, I like chicken.
Into growing this ecosystem out.
And I want to piggyback on Nakamoto. I want to piggyback on what Harrison says. Again, not from a tech perspective, from just a business marketing perspective. There's also great incentive in very, very wealthy Hexicans, and it's well known in the community that there's about 7 to 10 billionaires, right? People who took out a tremendous amount of liquid from Hex that have just already a built-in incentive to try to make that. So what you have is you have an L1 with enormous capital backing that's not VC backing. We know that VCs want to get in and they want to get out. They want to make their money. Here you have individuals who made it in Hex and want to reinvest that capital into that L1. So I think in addition to what Harrison was saying, which is, yes, we have RH. By the way, he did a great interview with Eric Wall, where at the end of that interview, he was hinting at that. He was hinting at that without hinting at that. So I think there is some kind of backing for what Harrison was saying. I think there's a lot of, from an investor perspective, there's a lot of incentive with big capital players that want to come in day one. That did not happen with any of the other L1s. And guys, I think we have to, try to look at apples to apples. These L1s made it, and they were absolute ghost chains. What do you think?
Yeah.
I want to mention
He's got a good point, though. He's got a very good point.
I was giving him a hard time on. There are rich people from Hex, guys, but the fact that he said that there's 7 or 10 known billionaires that because of Hex is silly. So I think he might have just kind of let it go a little. But Sam, please open that up.
So, why? One of the reasons why Pulse can be more successful is because of the network. So, if you do email marketing, there's a common rule of thumb that says that every email address you have, you can generate about $1 per month of revenue from those things. So if you have 10,000 emails, then on a monthly basis, you should be able to generate about $10,000 worth of revenue from your list of 10,000 emails. What is Hex? A big list that you can generate money to pull into Pulse. Right. So if you have and when I'm saying things on a marketing front, but we all know Richard Hart is that's something that he's been very good at. Right. So if you look at this, Hex is just another marketing tool that gives him a list of a lot of people that he can market to who he knows tend to use this, not everybody, but tend to use this and already know how to navigate within the crypto sphere. And they probably have some cheddar. Right. So
his points were all rock solid and they made sense. He just slipped out. You don't want to start your sentence with the salad, bro. You should have just moved it on and said there's so many guys in Hex that have made a really good amount of money. And the one thing about Hex that's different is that there's real men that have put a lot of USD for 15 years in that system. That keeps a spirit alive for 15 years. I can promise you that, because when there's money involved, people don't care. But what people also don't understand is Hex's is just as fragile as the $7 million liquidity pool that it's sitting in. If that liquidity goes away, your Hex is worth nothing. Period. So, but that doesn't mean that $8 million is hard for someone to keep up in an LP pool either. But it's just important to know how these things actually work. So when this gets forked over, what's going to happen, Sam? It's going to launch at 0. What if it's not the best game plan for them to provide a big load of liquidity? Who's going to provide the liquidity? Does Richard have to provide the liquidity? No. Richard, so what if everyone has all their coins, but they're not worth anything? And what if that's the separate play? What if it's like, wait, bro, because your coins aren't worth jack shit, so you better wait.
Well, on the other hand, but what
That's
about?
what am I crazy on that? Like who's like? Is there going to be $1 billion in liquidity in there? Because that's what people want.
But what happens if, let's just say, in the Hex community, there's say maybe 1,000 millionaires or multimillionaires from Hex, right? So let's say of that subset of say 1,000 millionaires or multimillionaires, right? We know people that have hundreds of millions of Hex in USD terms. What if there's say 50% of those people, right? So you have 500 people that have all made over $1 million who now want to go support the next thing that Richard does. And they bring over, 200 grand each, 500 grand each over to Pulse, right? So if you have 500 people that bring over 500 grand each, I mean, the numbers get big.
I believe in a perfect world if this launches and everyone says it's okay, it's okay. But I'm under the impression that Richard's under SEC investigation. And I'm trying to kind of say that without being like, but guys, I've been watching Richard and I've watched I've read his book 10 fucking times. I read his book. When I get addicted to something, I start going in on it. So what have I learned? He's not a god and he can't change legislation, and he's made mistakes in the past. And that's basically everyone. So that's everyone though, right? So just because Richard's really rich, just because he buys appreciating assets, because remember, Richard only buys appreciating assets. All those watches and everything, the perfect one for resale. He never would buy anything that didn't have resale value. I know Richard. He doesn't even buy furniture that doesn't have resale value. He only buys things that go up in price. And so all that money he has is not liquid. It's in a lot of things that have NFT marketplace liquidity in a way, an open market of liquidity, right? More so like Rolex is more of a bid now than it is like, oh, we just have Rolexes. These Rolexes, there's 4 of them. There's 6 of them. There's 10 of them. So, he said, this is a $200.5 million watch. That's a lot of money. I don't know exactly. He says he's got 100 of them. But remember, you got to think, I'm kind of on the fence of questioning his intent. Like, where does intent come into this? Because I was under the impression that he was team player. But, at the end of the day, he owns an ERC-20 that's hosted on the blockchain. It's like he's already got his play in the bag. So now I have to work backwards and kind of work through it. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And truthfully, he's saved me from a long life of not understanding jack shit about finance in a very short amount of time. I would have figured it out anyway, but he probably sped me up like 2-3 years with honest, open-minded work. But when Hex came out, his tune changed, frankly. But Sam, I want to read an article really quick. So this is the most recent article I could find. December 27th, 2022, 10:43 a.m. U.S. SEC may take steep measures against Hex. We're going to read it. Is that cool?
Yeah, I think that may be more with potentially like a clickbaity title. Also, I think that we should do a show on AI in the future, all on AI and the singularity and all that kind of stuff, because some of the things, right, like you're like, oh, the price is going to go up on the watches, right? Like I can understand the thinking behind that. And it just made me think about
my whole thing on that was like he kind of preserves his wealth very well and doesn't necessarily, like he pays attention to his P's and Q's on his balance sheet. I'll tell you that right the hell now. But maybe not the guys in my DMs that are crying because they lost 447 million Hex.
But then what happens when we actually, because AI can actually open the doors to abundance in so many ways that people are not used to. I don't know. I think we should do a whole episode on that and explore that in more detail. But before we do that, we're going to get into this article here. So go ahead.
And people asking this question, GRC, are you funding fudding yourself out of your hope for Hex, I don't give a shit. That's MJ. I don't live in this world of hope. I don't care. My life is lit. What? Okay, so if my t-shirt, I promise, I'll say this one more time. I say it all the time. If Hex moons, I'm rich. If Pulsechain moons, I'm fucking rich. If PulseX moons, I'm rich. If Hedron moons, I'm rich. And if Icosa staking pool continues to produce good yield and that number goes up, I'll probably be rich in like 5 or 6 years on that. So, because I'll keep restaking that. But so I want this to work out more than anyone, I guess, as far as my finances are concerned. But everyone that watches this show knows I could care less. I feel like I'm going to be so successful in so many ways. I don't really think about like, oh no, like if this number goes up, I'll finally be able to do something with my life. It's like, no, I just want to learn. I just want to figure out what's going on. I can't. And when I ask the Hex community questions, they block me. So I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm just going to read about it. You know what I'm saying? So let's just get into this. People, you could think this is stupid or not, but Sam will get to tell you that at the end. Hex founder accused of fraud, Sam. Per reports from individuals with knowledge of the matter, the SEC wants to look into origins of Hex and subsequent developments in Pulsechain and PulseX. It is amid rumors that Richard Hart, the founder, received a whopping $1 billion from users. That's not a rumor, really, but it's also not necessarily his money. And it was $1.7 billion. And so far, I can confirm this to be true. I can confirm this for like me. Like I can confirm that first sentence. Per reports from individuals with knowledge of the matter, the SEC wants to look into the origins of Hex, subsequent development in Pulsechain and PulseX, and the people that are talking about it 100%. I know people that are paying lawyers right this moment, and they never want to hear about this shit again. And they want their money back, and they're upset. I swear to God, dude. Like I'm not even.
No, you were telling me about the stuff.
I'm not fudding, bro. Big money too. Big money. In September 2018, Hex launched its live pre-sale. Sam, let's pay attention to all these little verbs. And CEO Sammy Kwok disclosed that an agreement had been reached with Hong Kong Crypto Fund for the latter to acquire all unsold tokens on the final day of the pre-sale. So I'm like, okay, right. As a result, Hex would probably get the hard cap of 100,000 ETH before the crowd sale began. We're just going to keep going.
That's also new information to me, right?
Me too, really, but I don't want to confirm anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
I will confirm it. Don't you get it?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. But so when you sell something, so say I'm Goldman Sachs and I go to sell a security, right? GRC has the GRC token that's coming out. Now, if this new token that has if this new token that GRC has come out and he has me help him sell that, what I will do as Goldman Sachs is I will sell that to my investors. But in the agreement to sell that, I might have something where it says, hey, any shares that are not sold, I get to keep, and I get to keep them at no cost or a fraction of the cost of the market or whatever the case is. So seeing something like this, even though it's the first time I've heard it, doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. That's what rings the bell of something like that. Don't know if it's true. This is the first time I've heard it. Could be completely false, but they are publishing it on, cryptonews.com or whatever.
Mr. Crypto 303, Sam, start your own crypto. So GRC is unwatchable. You've got so much knowledge, and this dude never shuts up. I'm out. You know what, Mr. Crypto 303? I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you remember that I want Sam to do a show too. That'd be fun. So let's get back into it. Cryptos. Wait, am I not allowed to read Crypto 303 or? Is that me talking? No, but seriously, we can. Sam, do you mind reading this next one just so I can get some more?
Crypto Fund's staff stated that the collaboration was due to Hex's technology, reverse ICO advantage, and high capability of socialization utilizing the Aston platform. No idea what any of that garbage just that I read means or anything like that, other than maybe Hex technology was related to like the CD, and they're like, "Oh, this is cool." Other than that, I
The
don't know.
collaboration was due to Hex's technology, reverse ICO advantage, and high capability of socialization. Utilized the Aston platform. What the fuck is that?
I don't know. After
In
all,
the background while you keep reading.
okay, after all the activities during Hex's launch, investors couldn't find answers and clarity on how the network operates. Some analysts questions how the token is distributed, since Richard Hart allegedly kept 45% of the whole supply in the Genesis wallet at the time. Hart has tried to plead his case, saying that investors have a culture of dubbing coins as scams. However, it doesn't necessarily mean his coin falls under the said category. I don't know. What do you think of this so far? It seems like there's a lot of new information that, well, we know this one, 45% in the Genesis wallet might not include the daughter wallets. That's why it says 45% instead of 90%. You know what I mean? Associated with the origin.
I think it's pretty like certain that like that 86% or so, or like 90. The rate changes because of the end stake fees. They go, so the rate kind of changes like depending on what's going on.
Because
And again,
50% of them go to him.
exactly. And that's another issue that I have. And it's not because the money's going to him, but it's like one of the biggest problems is that Richard owns all the stuff. So he can do these regurgitated moves to change. Something's decentralized when nobody can really change it. And the truth is, from the inward of the software, Richard can do whatever he wants. As far as staking, end stakes, moving supply around, and changing the dynamics. But technically on paper, is that illegal? I don't know. After the launch, is it fair game? We talk about Zen all the time here, Sam, because the distribution pattern makes me feel safer. What do you think about the distribution early on? Just as a normal thought, like how does this scale and what are people going to think about this? And what if this is $100 billion in it in 5 years?
I mean, I think that as the biggest thing that's going to carry prices in the future is the adoption, right? Going from 3.5% to 7%. Like independent of tokenomics, of who Joe Schmo is as a founder or what it does or the community says or anything like that. If you double and then 10x the number of users in crypto, a rising tide lifts all boats. That means when the tide is coming into the harbor, right? It lifts all the boats in the harbor. It doesn't lift just the amazing super yachts or special boats or sports boats. It also raises up the dinghies and the shithole boats and the scam tokens and the rug pulls. All of them rise up. So that's going to be the number one factor there. Obviously, the distribution, like 90% in one person's like control.
Sam, are you saying the feds pump all these prices? The federal, and I say this on so many Twitter posts, Sam, I say, just wait for the Fed to start printing again. And it's like before it wasn't like that because the user adoption was enough to take it to a place where on the price chart, it was actually detaching from some of the other assets because it was so light and fluffy. But it totally changed the dynamic now. It has more thickness. It has more people. It has more sellers. And we have to wait for the Fed again because all these whales know when the Fed prints, they print. They'll sell the top on that. You just wait for them.
And the Fed, for people who are not like aware, the Fed doesn't get shit right. Like they do some, like I wouldn't say they do. They tend to always be late and or over extend their moves in one direction or the other direction. And it tends to cause a reverberating effect throughout the markets because they don't get things right. They'll say one thing and then they will switch to what they say like 2, 3, 4, 7 months later, which is okay because new information is coming in, but that tends to happen. Let's go back into the start.
I'll read this one. In November, the SEC issued a subpoena on influencers who promoted Hex, Pulsechain, and PulseX. This I can confirm, also true. Very true. And those lawyer fees are not cheap. And Richard promoted a donation address for all that. And, of course, I'm detached from all of that. However, as rumors surrounding Hex management swirled, most began ducking as commands for document destructions began to circulate. Yeah, that's what I started doing. I just started being more critical and less of a fan because I thought I just want to be known as the biggest critique of it rather than if I'm going to be a journalist, I'd rather just do it like that. Sam, so what does that mean to you? There's people getting smoked by the SEC, guys like me. Like, let's say I didn't have a bunch of friends and I was just sitting here and boom, I have to pay 15 grand in lawyer fees for a fun little asset that I've been talking about. And then I'm nuked for the rest of the year. And no one, Richard don't give a shit. So what is that? Are they attacking the users to get people scared?
It's at that time in the cycle where they're going to start going after things like this, right? Where we're so close to the very bottom of the market, it feels like. Whether that happens, in the next 6 days or in the next like 6 months or whatever the case is, it feels like we're very close to the bottom. And one of the things that we know about the psychology of the market is when you're at the bottom, you have so much negativity coming out. So much negativity, right? And then there's like despair that's going on. When people will think that the worst is happening. Like people will literally, this is the cue that I'm looking for. When I hear people start talking about, is crypto actually going to be around in the future? I know that we're so close to the bottom, right? Like that person's about to fall off the cliff. When people and news organizations start reporting like, is crypto actually going to be around in the future or is it completely dead, right? I know at that moment, we are so close to the bottom depths of the bear market that I'm like getting very, very, very bullish at that point. Keep it up. I wish you will be one of the biggest crypto YouTubers. Fuck yeah, bro. I hope you
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we do. And guys, just for a little bit of insight, Sam is a super busy guy. And I know I cut him off all the time, but I also don't talk to him before the show. So really, I'm trying to like get a lot of the message across of what he knows all the stuff already, but he doesn't know what I've been thinking for the last 6 hours. So it's kind of like I try to mix it in and just get his insight at the end of it. But yes, I do need to stop cutting off Sam. And yes, it is something that I'm working on. And, I pray that everyone's just be real chill with it. All right, Sam, this one's going to get your attention more.
Oh, what is
this one is from July 19th, 2020, July 29th, 2022. A different angle, Sam. This FUD was not around yet. The SEC, all this stuff is a different. Why would someone come out with this article? They might actually have a clue, maybe, but maybe they won't. Me and Sam will. I didn't like the last article, to be honest. I thought it was a little fluffy, but at the same time, I think there was some real shit in there, and like again, nothing that we didn't really know. Ish, some of the verbiage in there was a little odd, but I don't think we learned too much from that. Did you?
Yeah, that thing with the other company getting a portion of Hex, whatever it seemed like did come out of the amplifier, they got to keep or something. That might have been kind of interesting if that's true, but we don't know if it's true. No ideas for some.
And we can double check on that too, and I can double check on that in my private time. So I think this is all on the audio. So if the audio gets through good and we like the way that sounds, we'll just play it from there. But Sam, it goes into a lot of detail here. So guys, if you don't like to hear detail, probably just put your little earmuffs on, go watch some NBA, and we'll get. Sorry, NBA, that was a low blow.
Richard Hart and the curious launch of Hex, Pulse, and PulseX. Like many dubious crypto leaders, Hex creator Richard Hart is a master cult of personality through outrageous videos and gaudy displays of wealth. In February, he bought the largest diamond in the world for $4.3 million in crypto. The 4 billion-year-old wonder was renamed the Hex.com diamond. Hart keeps many secrets. Past known aliases include James Hart and J. Hart. He was born Richard James Schuler on October 9, 1979. He grew up in Pittsburgh. Nowadays, he hides the location of his residence, refuses to answer questions regarding his net worth, if he controls Hex's origin or flush addresses, and most importantly, how much Ethereum he received from the proceeds of the Hex launch. During a recorded Twitter Spaces conversation, Hart was accused by former colleague turned critic Tone Vays, quote, he dumped all the Ethereum that people paid on day one to get his Hex coins, unquote. After an awkward moment of silence, Hart responded, quote, no comment. Tone, I got a lot of really cool stuff. I'm selling something for it, ain't I? Unquote. Although Hart repeatedly glamars all public questions about his control of Hex's origin or flush addresses, he's rumored to be their ultimate beneficiary. The origin address receives a copy of all token rewards minted by users upon maturity of their time stake. It receives half the penalties for early withdrawal. The other half goes into a payout pool. The address also receives a copy of bonuses. It currently holds over $11 million, 268 million Hex. The flush address receives Hex tokens from a smart contract function involving late penalties. Users agree to a strict schedule when initiating a Hex stake. If they don't end their stake on time, the flush address can ultimately receive some of their penalty fees. The flush addresses once held $6.5 million in Ethereum and has been drained of most of its receipts. An estimated 2,387,391 Ether have been moved out from a suspected flush address in a series of transactions that began on December 12, 2019 and ended on January 27, 2021. If Hart does control all assets in the origin, Flush, and other Hex wallets listed above, Hart could control up to 88.19% of Hex's total supply.
We all knew
The
that.
illusory wealth of Hart's Hex. If Hart controls Hex's origin address, as well as the sacrifice addresses for Hart's Pulsechain and Pulsex, he could have once achieved billionaire status on paper. One particular wallet, beginning with 0x12136E, is widely rumored to belong to Hart. It held $400 million on February 17, 2021. Today, the wallet contains less than $10,000 and has routed crypto assets to dozens of wallets and exchanges, including Binance, Huobi, OKX, Bitfinex, Poloniex, Bitfum, and Deribit. Hex is a crypto asset that Hart claims is a blockchain-based certificate of deposit. Its name appropriates credibility from the popular belief that certificate of deposits are considered to be one of the safest savings options. However, as opposed to a real certificate of deposit that a bank uses to collateralize mortgages or productive loans, Hex simply time locks tokens in exchange for future token rewards.
So I just confirmed on Etherscan that address, and yeah, that address has still done nothing, and it was still at the place where he mentioned it right there. So it sent out 115,927 Ether 648 days ago in 20 hours, and since then it's been 100% null. So just understand there was 115,000 transaction of Ethereum, which at the time was roughly $3,000 a piece, if I remember correctly. So it could have been 2,700. I can't remember, but I was right around. I was paying attention in that time. That's the only reason I can regurgitate those numbers. So that's important to remember. Like, guys, when you're watching articles like that and they give you an address, check it. Just check it. Like it's as simple as a one click, and it really helps you know if the guy's legit or not. Because what if that was just a random address? What if that was just someone else doing something? It's not. It was the address that he was addressing. So, Sam, you have anything to comment on this so far?
No, it's. I think that no, nothing.
Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying this. This is some new information to me, and the biggest thing for me was Hex is controlled by one person, right? If you think like crypto, it's supposed to be decentralized, right? You're supposed to remove the middleman, and what is it doing? It's not doing that.
No.
Not saying it's not going to perform well. Not saying I don't potentially own some, but it is. That's just the only thing that.
So whatever you own or don't own, whatever you would own for performance-based speculation.
Yes.
And not because, like, sometimes when I did my first 20 mints on Zen or whatever, I wasn't really necessarily thinking so much about how much money I was going to make. So it didn't feel like that. It wasn't something that you were diving in. It wasn't a Tesla of sorts before it got started. And remember, early on, that guy mentioned, and a very critical thinker, Richard's space within innovation is slim. Now, the staking feature, we can talk a little bit, but not really his. And it's not open source, Sam. And that's one other thing I wanted to ask you about what you think, because there's some nuance there. But what do you think? And I asked Jack the same question. I've asked a couple other guys the same question. What does it mean to you that the code isn't open source? Could someone just copy it? Or isn't technology supposed to change the world and innovate? And isn't that kind of staying away from that? What are your thoughts on that whole jive?
It protects Richard Hart in the sense that he has a license on it so that other people can't create the same type of thing on the one hand, and on the other hand, it can potentially make things more innovative, right? Because a license or a patent doesn't necessarily mean you can't do something. It just means you got to think more creatively and resourcefully to get around it. There's he's trying to protect himself, right? He doesn't want other people to copy Hex. And there's already copies out there that work in slightly different fashions. But then
yeah, maybe it's that. I wish I knew everything. Richard,
Uniswap has their license, but they did a 2-year license, right? They did a 2-year license on V3.
Yeah, but they're open source though, right? You could check their stuff out.
You can probably check out the code. I don't know enough about code.
I don't think you can, bro. I'm telling you. I've asked a couple people that. Now, get me in the comments, guys. Have any of you seen the code for Hex and worked through that? Because I've heard that it's not.
Should ask Fashion Coder.
Fashion Coder, are you in here?
I don't think she's in here, but
you're just picking the only girl in crypto. That's probably a good idea. Fashion Coder, if you're listening, or your dad's smart as a whip, and her dad owns Hex, and he's a man of the Lord. So let's not get that twisted. So you're right though, Sam. This all comes down to just a few things. I'm gonna just skim this, make sure I'm not missing anything. Is Richard going to get attacked? And I say attack. You guys want to know my stance? I'll just say my stance right now. I don't think Richard is a fraudster. I learned so much from Richard from watching his videos. He's obnoxious. He's potentially a little bit on the mentally crazy side, in my opinion. But he saved so many people from Celsius, Terra Luna, FTX, that he's probably good, bro, in the Lord's eyes. And I say that as a half joke, guys. Like you know what I mean when I say that. I mean, like, I would say he probably did a net positive when he was going through with a small market cap coin that wasn't really sucking too much funds in, and then getting everyone to get out of these fake crypto scams and learn. I'm in crypto because of Richard Hart. I know everything that I know because Richard was saying all of that stuff. It became a resource. I didn't have the resource until it was given to me, almost like the teacher's not there until somebody's willing to actually say what's going on. So Richard, I give you props. I don't think Richard's a fraudster. I think Richard's doing everything in his power at this point to save his reputation and to save Pulsechain, and I think he will die on that hill. And I think this is where greatness is made.
And I think it's going to be very successful if it does launch. And I think Hex will be successful too whenever the market turns around, excluding some strange anomaly type action in the market, which does happen. We've seen this happen on a regular basis. So that kind of shit can happen, but I do think they'll perform very well over the next, 5-6 years, assuming innovation doesn't eat them up in some other way.
Sarah, you said about the feds, the sinking ship. That applies.
But I think that's going to help.
No, I know Richard's the timing god. If he knows anything, it's crypto market timing. And when the Fed prints, it's not just like a Holiday Inn. It's like everything is going up again, and the cognitive dissonance completely takes over once again. Industries start producing at rates that they weren't before. paying people more, doing things. People start going out, getting drunk, doing all the things again. And frankly, they get ignorant with it. But this one's different because we have a financial war going on between blockchain and the transition into that being used as transparent ledger, because all we want is transparency.
And permissionless, yes. Yeah, so I have to run. I know that you're going to be on later today. If you guys want to check that out, there's a link down below to my Twitter. There's one for GRC. Go check it out over there. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information of when you're going live, when I'm going live, or posting other types of content. There's also other ways to support the channel or other social media if you care to check it out. Jump over to Twitter, jump over to Instagram or TikTok. All that's linked down below. Any last thoughts here before we wrap things up?
Yes, I said something about you before we started, and I'm sure you agreed with it. You would care less if Richard was in prison or the next trillionaire. It would not change your day-to-day thinking whatsoever. And I know that about you. And I know there's a lot of guys in this chat that that's not the case. So understand this show is important. And I keep saying, well, I don't keep him here. Like, obviously, I'm so thankful that he's here. But I like him here because he won't play that bullshit for a second. And what am I going to do? Bullshit around him all day? No, I'm just going to say, let's get down to the brass tacks of this as fast as we can. But this is a resource every day, guys. And as I get better at this, I'm going to be able to use his expertise at a more scalable level because I'm getting better with the whole, I'm going to help him, help me, help everyone, because I'm just going all in trying to figure out how to do all this stuff anyway. We want Crypto in the Morning to be the biggest crypto show in the history of the universe. I mean, that goes without saying. And I asked, any New Year's resolutions for you, Sam?
Continue. One of the things I would continue to be focused on is making decisions faster. I think a lot of people make decisions slowly. I think that's an opportunity for me to accelerate all of my goals, is making decisions faster. Whether that's as simple as waking up and sitting in bed for 5 minutes and before making a decision to get out of bed and start taking action, or whether that is picking up the phone to call a customer and do that, or hey babe, where do you want to go to dinner? Okay, cool. No, this is where we're going to dinner, and making the decisions. I save so much time, and I think that'll have the biggest impact on me in 2023 and my goals. So for me, the singular focus is making decisions faster. But I have to run. I got that other call in 2 minutes.
Get out of here, Sam. I'll close them out.
Cool. Hey, I'll talk to you later. Later, guys. Appreciate you.
That's all we got for today, guys. If you really enjoyed this show, please smash the like button. Come on now. What's going on? I have a video pending for later. I got to see, is SBF going to be in trial today? I think he is. Oh, Charles Hoskinson is live right now. That's interesting. And Jack Levin is live with Trayvon right now. Let's see how many viewers Trayvon has right now. 175, dude, with Jack. Weak sauce, Trayvon. Come on, step your game up. I'm pumped up, guys. Let's go. You'll see me today. Don't you get it twisted. Everybody hit the subscribe and the bell. I'll be back like wildfire. I posted some shorts and some clips yesterday, too. Go smash those around. I'm trying to get it going, guys. Come on now. You know I don't really monetize this show, so I'm trying my best to do all the little stuff right so I can continue to move it forward and be a productive human. It's all about truth, transparency, and freedom.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phones.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phones.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready sent me to show you the way.
D5 Pro.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phones.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
If you're still in here, I want to raid. I want to raid. I want to raid Trayvon's chat. I want you to make sure you put biceps. Make him know that he'll get pissed off. It'll be funny. Dilute his chat with GRC, biceps. Guys, I want to see biceps over there. No, I know, Danny. It's funny. Trust me, dude. Danny, it's funny, bro. Say GRC the best or something. Danny, it's funny. I'm telling you. I love doing this. It's so funny. Blows their chat up and they lose concentration. It's hilarious. But it happens to me all the time. And I think Trayvon's really awesome. And I think he's smart too. And I think everyone should be nice and go subscribe to him. All right, guys. Make sure you raid that jaunt. Raid that jaunt right now. I want that raid. I'm going to go in there and raid too. So let me get over there. I'm not going to switch it over because I'm trying to work on my copy stuff. I want to see biceps in that chat, fam. Send biceps. Let him know it's bicep time. Bicep time. Bicep time. I want you to do it, and I want you to do it at an ignorant pace. I want trolls. And leave a like when you go over there, too. Just get him. I see you over there, Dr. V-Ray, the GOAT. Oh, yes. Somebody clip it once he starts talking about it. Oh, yes. Guys, make sure you go over to Trayvon, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button over there. He does Hex, Zen, Pulsechain. He has his own token, more token. Drink more water. I'll plug him real quick, but I need you to jump on over there. Oh, God, he's going to be horrendously upset. I want less people in here. Go to Trayvon's. Go to Trayvon's. Oh, it's totally spam. It's get him. All right, guys. Peace out. Crypto in the morning. I'll be back in a bit.